Welcome to the art and science of difficult conversations. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lucy, and we love having difficult conversations.
That's right. And each week we'll either share a tip, hear how others have gotten better at difficult conversations, or demonstrate common difficult conversations and what to do and what not to do.
Let's get into it.
Okay, in this scenario today, we're going to go through a personal situation, how to set boundaries with a friend who's guilt tripping you. Now, in this scenario, Lucy is going to be guilt tripping me, or just have a history of guilt tripping me, I should say, and I need to set boundaries. So, Lucy, I don't know if you want to provide any context or if you just want to get into it.
Well, maybe you canceled a meeting, another meeting. We were supposed to have lunch together, and you canceled on me again.
Yep.
And I'm Lucy, the guilt tripper friend.
Yeah. So actually, in this situation, you should start the conversation, which is very interesting. But I think you should start the conversation. Let's say I canceled lunch.
Yes.
And you
just... Did you cancel over a text message?
Yes, text message.
Okay. So I'm calling you back after I read your text message.
Let's
when
talk
you're
on the
trying to
phone.
cancel.
I'm trying to cancel. Wow, we're like in the middle of it too. We're not even like afterwards.
You are trying to cancel by the text message. So I am calling you.
Give me
Ring,
a call.
ring.
Let's hear it.
Ring, ring,
Hello?
ring,
Hey,
ring.
Lucy, what's up?
Hey, Chris, I just read your text message that you're trying to cancel again on me.
Yeah, I know. Listen,
Chris,
I know this.
I adjusted my schedule for this.
I know,
I said
Lucy.
no to the other friends, and you keep doing that.
I know, Lucy. I feel so bad. Listen, I don't want to do this. It's just that my wife got sick. I can't meet up today for lunch. My wife got sick, so I'm just home with the kids.
Half an hour. How
Who's
about
gonna watch the kids for half an hour?
Well, how about I come to your house?
That doesn't help the situation.
It does, because I just want to hang out with you. You know, the quality time is important. Like, what are friends for? To hang out. And if we don't hang out, it's like no friendship. So it's I think maybe that's what's happening. You really don't want to be friends with me anymore. And
no, Lucy, no.
just,
come on.
It makes me feel so bad, and I think you just don't care anymore about this friendship. And maybe I just I'm gonna, maybe we should not be friends anymore. I think you were telling me that anyway.
No,
So
Lucy, come on.
We've
been
not
friends
gonna
for like
meet
30 years.
I think
we can't. We've been friends for 30 years. You know that's not
and
the
you've
case.
been ignoring me, like this friendship is nothing for you. To you.
I don't know what to tell you. It's just hard because, kids are hard, Well, I guess you don't know, but you know from watching me, it's hard. It's just busy,
But still, it's important not to leave your friends behind. And
I know. Listen, I feel bad. I don't know what else you want me to do.
Well, you
I feel
should.
bad.
I don't feel like we're friends anymore, and you're really not a good friend to me. If that means, because if you were a good friend, you would never do that, and you would find the time. So I think, I need to find better, like friends that actually take some time for me, and they don't constantly meetings on me.
But I'm talking on the phone with you right now. I'm talking with you on the phone right now.
Yeah, but it's on the phone, and we were supposed to have lunch together, and you know how important this is to me, to spend time together. So I think it's yeah, let's just, okay, let's cancel them. If you don't want to even see my face, okay, fine. I will just we'll see. Maybe we'll meet some next year or so.
Lucy, don't be like that.
I think it's fine. All righty.
Come on now.
I think I need to go. Bye, Chris. So I hope we didn't cause a lot of stress to our listeners right now.
Yeah.
Hearing this, maybe it reminded you of some conversations that some people in your life, be it friends or family members, parents, siblings, could have had with you.
Yeah.
So what didn't work when we
What didn't work? I was just on the defensive the entire time. I was just on the defensive. I didn't know how to respond. I didn't even know how to set boundaries because I was just trying to make you feel better. So I didn't know how to like just say this is what's important, this is what's not important. I was just kind of following the flow of the conversation. But I think also that's the reality. If you're not used to
Yes.
being assertive, or if you don't have the words on how to do it,
Yeah.
or if you've never done it before or not very much, it feels weird, and it does feel a little bit like you're arguing. And it can feel like you're arguing, especially if you're not used to that. So
Absolutely.
so it's easier to just say, but no, you got it all wrong. It's okay. Don't worry. I still care about you. It's still a priority. Like I just end up I just keep being on my back foot and just kind of trying not to fall over.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that doesn't work because you continue to feel upset, and we are still in conflict, and we're not going to solve that by doing that.
No. Yeah. And what didn't work on my side, I wasn't actually even trying to understand your position. I had my belief, this is what you do, and if you don't do the way I want, then I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah.
And nothing is gonna change it unless you change.
Right. Right.
And so I was quite close-minded and upset. And
Yeah.
I didn't look for other solution than you actually saying yes to what I want.
Right. And here's the thing though, if you were like, that's great. If you were looking for how to solve the problem and being, doing all the skills that we talk about on this podcast, then relationships would never turn out like this, right? Because the person who is more passive wouldn't have to suddenly learn how to like stand up for their boundaries or stand up for their values. You'd be
Right.
able to continue facilitating the relationship.
Yeah.
So this is the thing I always often tell people is like, you can't assume the other person is playing by the same rules. You can't assume, like, what if they don't know like how to ask good questions? Like, yeah, they don't. Nobody, like, if they did, then you would just have a regular conversation. Life would be great. You have to assume they don't know how to do that, and you have to facilitate the dialogue, and you have to take the lead. And that means you'll have to say things to set some boundaries and set some ground rules at times, and that may not feel comfortable at first.
I think that's such an important point. And funny thing, I had to stop myself. I already wanted to say, I hear you, I understand you. I had to stop myself to keep the role. So I did want to be understanding. And now, as you were sharing, actually, I realized, because I also wanted to change into a friend that is not guilt tripping, but I realized actually that might not help the listeners. And so I need to stay the guilt tripping friend, but let's see how you're actually going to set boundaries this time.
So we're going to do it again. And so this is the interesting thing. This is my prediction. I don't think the outcome is going to be different. I think the outcome will be the same. I think what's going to happen for me as the person setting boundaries is I'm going to feel more at peace over time with setting those boundaries, as opposed to just taking a ride on the emotional roller coaster.
Makes sense, yeah. And I might be still upset, and by especially more upset because I'm not gonna get what I want.
Right, exactly. But we'll see. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it'll work just fine. Maybe it'll be amazing transformation.
All righty, let's see what happens.
So we'll do the same thing. You can call me first.
All righty. Ring, 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 ring.
Hey, Lucy. I'm so sorry I had to cancel. This is terrible timing. I know.
Chris, I cannot believe it. You cancel like for the fifth time. It seems you really don't care about me as a friend, and I'm really hurt and upset by that. It's like you're not being a good friend. You're being a horrible friend. It seems like if you really cared about me, you would never do that. Cancel so many times on me, and cancel over the text message. I mean, we've known each other for 30 years.
You're right.
This
We've
is
known
how
each other
you
for 30
treat
years.
somebody
Why am I
like
doing
that?
that? You're right. We've known each other for a long time. Why am I canceling over text? That's whack of
Then
me.
don't do it if you understand like this is not the right thing to do.
Listen, I apologize. You're right. Here's the situation is my wife is sick and I've got these two kids home today, and so it's just something I can't get, like, I can't leave them alone for the lunchtime.
So your family is always, everybody else is always more important than me, and I get it. You know what? it's fine. I think our friendship is just no longer your priority, and that's fine. And at least we had the conversation. Good to know. And maybe we reconnect, in 10 years. Or
Oh, that hurts.
it's
Lucy,
yeah,
that
it
hurts to hear
does. So
that.
you feel the hurt that I feel, but it
Mm,
seems like it doesn't hurt as much because it doesn't change your behavior. And so I just need to leave. I think
mm.
so. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Lucy. It's tough. I know I think it's just the unfortunate reality that I live with now is that like I have to juggle lots of different priorities. I
Oh,
know that it took us a long time to schedule just this one,
yes, I
but
had to
happy to
cancel my
find time.
work. I
Oh
prioritize you
no.
over making money. And you know that I'm in a
Oh
situation
no.
I need to, when
Yeah.
I don't work, I don't make money. And yet I prioritize our relationship over that.
Yeah.
And you don't. And that really
Well,
hurts.
well, let me ask you this. My wife's on they were able to prescribe her some medication. Are you around this weekend at all?
I don't know because what happens, I change my plans again. I have some plans for the weekend, but I change it and then you tell me last minute, you send me a message, don't come because something happened again. So how
Yeah,
can I even trust you because you keep changing plans so much?
I know, and I can't predict 100% certainty that my wife will get better, but I know that she's on medication, so at least she's on her way to getting better. How do you feel about coming over for dinner on Sunday with us?
Well, okay, I can do that. I'm still a little upset and hurt,
Yeah, I get it.
but I,
I get
I
it.
please don't cancel on me then though, because that would mean the end.
Yeah. And can I ask you a favor, Lucy?
Okay, what?
I I appreciate and I acknowledge I put you out. I hurt your feelings because I did do this and you had to take time off. So I get it. And like that's really disruptive because you own your own business. So like your time is very valuable.
Thank you for understanding. Really appreciate you saying that.
I get it. Here's the reality is we've been friends for a long time. And when I hear you say a lot of those things about how I don't care or how I am just not caring about your time or you as a person, that's hurtful. That's hurtful to me, right? Because I've been with you for, friends with you for a long time. I do care about you. I've supported you through a lot of things. And so I think that's hurtful and not unfair to me as well to hear those things from you.
Wait a minute. So I am the person that is hurt here, but you're telling me I'm the bad person here? If I'm understanding correctly, that basically you cancel on me, but you tell me that I am the wrong, that I'm in the wrong.
I'm not saying you're in the wrong. I'm saying you're in the right to feel hurt. You could certainly feel hurt
Well,
because
I do feel hurt and
I did
upset.
cancel. Yeah, you can be hurt and
You
upset.
did.
I'm just saying that the way you expressed that to me was was hurtful and disrespectful to me. And
So
so, and I'm not saying you shouldn't express it to me. I'm just hopeful we can find a different way to communicate, right? That's a little more respectful to both of us.
yeah, I mean, it felt disrespectful to me when you canceled over the text. So I just
Yeah.
returned back to what you were giving to me.
Well,
And
that's what I'm saying. Like, I would love to find a way for
okay,
us to be respectful of both each
okay.
other to both of each other, right? Like, so I
Well,
shouldn't be canceling over text. Fair.
true,
You're
true.
right.
You shouldn't be canceling. but, Like also that's
Right.
part of the. So if you didn't cancel, we wouldn't even have this conversation.
Yeah.
Everything would be fine.
Yeah. And I just appreciate that if we're not also you're not also yelling at me that I don't care that I'm being disrespectful and that I'm just
It's because I'm a
you know
passionate person. So when I feel
I
something
get
strongly,
it. That's fine. You can be passionate. I don't that's why I'm good friends with you because you are passionate about a lot of cool things, right? It's just in this situation you're using it in a way that's very disrespectful to me.
well, this is the way I am. So if you want to be my friend, this is what I come with as a package.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should keep talking about that because
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay. So we're on for the Sunday. You said Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunday night. Okay, what time?
Yeah. Let's do 6.
Okay, sounds good. Alrighty, I'll see you then, Chris.
Yep. And we'll keep talking about this for sure.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Cut.
Whew.
All right, Lucy, you take a breath because I'm not I'm not upset, but
It
you were like
was
amped up
it
the
was
whole time.
challenging. I had to channel some people that I've known,
That
or
sounded
that
like a
people that I
real
talk to known.
I was gonna say that sounded like a real personal you just working stuff out.
It didn't feel great to be in that role for sure to me.
So then let's dive into it. I mean, from your perspective,
Mhm.
what worked better? I think there's still things I could have done better, but what worked better that time for as me trying to set a boundary?
Kudos to you for being able to validate me and showing me some empathy and even apologizing. Kind of giving. So sometimes when I hear some people say, clients even, well, I feel if I do that, I'm going to lose power and it's going to get even worse. And so it takes courage, even in those situations, especially to even be in that space takes courage. And I would say self-regulation, self-control, not to go back into the fighting, not to absorb their energy, their anger, and be on the defensive, but really being from a place of empathy for them there, even when they don't show actually empathy. I think that was very powerful. And so it took some of my power actually. And so I had to power myself to, okay, what do I need to say now? So I stay in that role, but it made it more difficult for me to stay in that role because I felt like even the energy, it's kind of like, okay, when I heard, yeah, you're validating me, okay, some of the anger dissipated.
Yeah.
So it had calming effect. So well done. Well done also, I would say you are problem solving and you gave me, okay, so you're right. I canceled. What about Sunday? So you gave me other option. And that also made me feel like, yeah, actually he doesn't want to hang out. It was just really about that. And so that also was additional thing that helped me shift a little bit.
Yeah.
And be, even though I still try to be very difficult, so we show for our listeners, even with these people, how you want to navigate that. But it made it more difficult to be upset at the same level as the level that I started with.
Yeah. I think people are always surprised that how powerful even just apologizing or just acknowledging somebody's right about something, the other person is right. Like, you're right. Like suddenly, like the wind goes out of their sails. Whatever argument they had, they're
Exactly.
like, yeah, I am right for lots of reasons. But like they were expecting a fight. They were like amping themselves up. And like just to be heard, like, yes, you're right. Absolutely. You make a great point. They have nowhere to go because they're like, I guess I win.
Yeah. It's almost the Aikido, like the enemy is waiting for the hit and there was no hit. You said, yes, okay, you're right. Yeah. And it almost scared myself because I know even, then I can use it actually against you. That's the other move that some of our listeners might also experience, that even that's the fear when they give them something right, it's going to actually come back again, even worse.
Well, I appreciate that you use that back. Like, why are you saying that I'm the bad guy? It actually gave me, in my mind, I like that because it gives me an opening to say we both have to work things, as opposed to like you are the problem. I don't have to like feel uncomfortable by saying you're the problem. No. We have a communication issue we need to work on here.
Yeah, well done.
Like otherwise it sounds like I'm lecturing you, and that doesn't feel great for anybody.
And that's another what doesn't work when then they argue who did what. But you actually did wonderful again. It's how do we, not it's your problem, it's my problem. How do we solve our communication? How do we solve it so both of us can be happy, so our friendship can work?
Yeah.
And offering suggestions actually. and being in that more receptive space rather than the defensive stance.
Yep.
Well done. And actually we finished the conversation on much better note, I would say.
Oh, good. Good.
A little better.
A little
Not
bit
much
better.
better,
Yeah.
probably, but a little better.
Yeah. A couple of things to note for the listeners is when I tried to focus whenever I was telling Lucy what to stop doing, I focused on what effect it had on me, as opposed to the words she was using. Like, I was trying to be as specific as possible. I just couldn't remember the exact words she was saying, but I was trying to focus on the impact it had. I think that's the more important thing. That's the easier thing to grasp onto. Like, hey, that's hurtful to me. That's disrespectful to me.
Yes, really, really sharing your experience.
Yeah,
and also encouraging me to have empathy, additional empathy for you.
Right. I think a lot of people get caught into like, you're doing that because part of me, I want to say, hurt people, Lucy. So that's not fair that just because you're hurt, you should be hurting me. Like, that just turns into an argument of like, how do you know what I'm thinking? Like, who do you think you are? Like, getting into that intent of like why I think you're doing it, that goes into another argument that is unproductive.
True.
Just focus on the effect that it's having, and they can argue, but it's a lot harder for them to argue your own personal experience of how you're experiencing it.
So that can be a very powerful tool to use in those conversations, the difficult conversations, when we share, okay, this is happening, this is the situation that's happening, this is what I am perceiving, this is what it means to me, this is how I'm perceiving it, this is the impact basically on me.
Yeah.
And it could be even making a request, just like you did. Could we actually talk about it and find out a way moving forward how we can communicate better? So the impact is a little bit different. So we can still enjoy being friends rather than me feeling disrespected in this friendship.
Right. Yeah.
Or both of us then ending up feeling upset.
Yeah, exactly. And as we were role playing that, I was thinking I know there's a question that a lot of the listeners are going to have is, why am I still friends with you? Why am I even trying to find another date to hang out with you? Why do I care about our communication? Why don't we just end the relationship? I think it's a valid question. And this is my thinking. In the scenario, we've been friends for 30 years. And I wouldn't have been friends with you without a reason. There must have been a reason that we've been friends for 30 years, right? Now, if you and I have been only known each other for like a year, couple of years, and you're acting like this, I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't hang out. You're right. Maybe we won't reschedule. Maybe I won't even bother putting the effort in. But if we've been friends for 30 years, there's something going on there. We've seen each other through ups and downs, in this scenario at least. So we've supported each other through things, and you're close to my family, and I'm close to you. So in my vision of this scenario, there's good enough parts of the relationship where I need to salvage it and try to repair it as much as possible. And maybe maybe you've been doing this whole time. Maybe it's worth us re-examining, like, are we a good friendship? Like, am I meeting your needs as a friend? But also, we also have family members that are kind of like this, right? Like, we have families like my mom's a little bit like this, and I'm not going to just stop talking to my mom, even though some people will say, stop talking to your mom, cut off contact. That's not always the solution either.
Or let's say with ex-partner, let's say for married couples that have children together.
Have children, yeah. You can't. You have to have a good working relationship for the sake of the child or children.
That could be really difficult to navigate. And so boundaries really are so important. And for some listeners, I don't know if to share it here with listeners, but I think that also is important, even though the term is often and the label is often misused too, or even used as a tool again to hurt others. And that's the narcissism.
Yeah.
And so dealing with a narcissist when one of their techniques to manipulate others is guilt tripping, could be. And so really being able, building that skill to set the boundary. And if this is with people that either we work with or we for some reason need to be connected with, how do we really build that distinction, knowing that, is this really something that I should feel guilty about? Or my needs also matter in this case?
Yeah.
So really also it's about us pausing and being self-aware and self-reflective in those situations. We could even reflect after. You probably, if that's family members, you probably had a history of that. It could be even talking with a friend or a therapist or coach to help you recognize, in this situation with this particular person, is that guilt justified or not? And actually, I need to learn how to express my needs, how to protect my needs, how to know that my needs matter.
Yeah.
And really be, because you've mentioned even boundaries can be uncomfortable. And especially if we grew up in the environment where our needs were not considered important, it could be very difficult and challenging for somebody to have these conversations with anybody. And sometimes what happens, even the friendships were from the, let's say, in case of friendships, could be from years back, and the person changed, and maybe they did some therapy on them and work on themselves. And now they're realizing, oh, this relationship, this friendship actually is not healthy. It is actually a harmful friendship for me. It's draining, it's stressing me out. And so really checking in with their needs and what actually works for and is supportive and healthy and nourishing for their life. And where they are at, and maybe that's the healthiest choice then, to disconnect the friendship. Right. So recognizing and sometimes really separating ourselves from, and knowing which needs and our needs, and you've done it well in that conversation, looking at how both of us can figure this out together. Yeah, exactly. Oh, great point. Not easy. These kind of conversations. Yeah, I think it's also important for people to understand being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive. Yes. Right. I don't have to yell at you or talk over you. It's really about, I'm setting a clear boundary, and I want you to have your boundaries too. And that's fine. And I'm just gonna say what my boundaries are. Absolutely. And a lot of people are uncomfortable about setting boundaries. Could be also connected with the past, that they were punished maybe, or they got really pushed back. So they learn to be people pleasers. And so for people pleasers, even at work, setting boundaries can be extremely difficult thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so if you are one of the people that is more on the people pleasing side, and maybe you have friends like that, you could start with, what is the smallest boundary that you could set, and maybe start even role playing with your friends and see what are the things that you could say in that conversation, and what kind of boundaries and needs you have in that relationship, and maybe that can give you some pointers. Yeah, I like that. I love that idea. That's great. Oh, and also we have the difficult conversation checklist for this one that might be helpful, especially for these scenarios. Yeah, check it out in the links. We'll put in the link so you can download it. There. Exactly. For sure. Any other last thoughts, Lucy? Oh, well, if you have questions, please let us know anytime. We'll be happy to actually either make a role play around it or create a mini information episode about that, how to address it. Absolutely. And so again, thanks for joining us today. Lucy and I, we're coaches. I'm also a licensed therapist. If you're interested in checking out our work, you can check us out on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to this podcast. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. I think that's a lot of these examples come from friends, families, clients, people who just reach out just because they're real life scenarios. We want to help you get through your real life scenarios. So reach out, let us know how we can support you. And it is possible to make a change. We've seen it many times with our clients, with ourselves, and our journey. So there is definitely hope, and there are tools to support you. Absolutely. See you all next week.